Everybody, Josh here again, and welcome back. So today I wanted to talk about close-mindedness. And when I'm talking about close-mindedness, I'm just specifically speaking on how you as an individual, how I as an individual, and how we all tend to keep ourselves in echo chambers and keep perpetuating confirmation biases, where we do not let our thoughts expand beyond what we are comfortable thinking about, and how it limits us, and also how what we can do to get better at dealing with it. So I've been pulling a lot of my resource from this book called Principles by Ray Dalio. I started reading it for a while now. I was hoping to kind of get it done in a week, but that's kind of impossible because the content of the book is very much very well detailed, and it takes some time to kind of really get into it. I'll probably leave a link below where you might be able to find it on Amazon. So I'm going to talk about this. So one of the things that he has highlighted is that the people are either close-minded or open-minded, and one of the main characteristics of close-minded people is that they get frustrated, or they don't have a desire to have their ideas challenged. They tend to be very much avoiding of people testing their theories or testing what they believe in, especially when the opposing concept or opposing side of things seems to be a little bit more logical. It has more weight to the information that is being shared. Now, open-minded people, on the other hand, tend to be much more comfortable with people telling them they are wrong. And that's been a big thing for me recently. I've been thinking that for us to grow as human beings, we need to be comfortable putting ourselves in spaces where our ideas could be challenged. And you make a decision. Do you want to be a close-minded individual or be open-minded? I mean, I don't even have to ask you that. So the second thing, which is something that I really personally have seen with my own personal growth, is that being open-minded, you tend to want to ask questions more than make statements. But asking questions gives you the opportunity and gives the other person an opportunity to let themselves be understood. By asking questions, you allow people to present their case, you allow people to reveal that which is not known, than making an assumption, making a statement, and making a very bold claim that what is coming out of your mouth or what is coming from your head is the absolute truth. Close-minded people, on the other hand, they ain't had time for that. If I say this, it's probably right because I learned it from somewhere. Not thinking that people had to ask a question to get that answer. So the next thing is that close-minded people tend to be very much in a need to be understood, and they kind of have a lower scale of wanting to understand others. Open-minded people like aggressively want to understand or see through each other's eyes, see through the lens of other people, and they place less emphasis on their point of view being the thing that is relevant, that is important, is understood, and it's just how some people are in life, I guess. So knowing how to navigate that and identify that within yourselves can be a good starting point to opening your mind. So, all right. So the next thing is that close-minded people, according to Ray Dalio in this book, indicates that that close-minded people are very, like, they have difficulty putting together two streams of thoughts, like having their own and having the thoughts and or opinion of someone else in their mind. And I think a good indicator of that is when people don't want others to speak, they just want to have their thoughts put forward, because they're not ready to be, especially in a live situation, be ready to articulate or try to understand another person's thoughts, because the weight of their own values and their own point of views takes up so much of their mental space. When you're open-minded, on the other hand, you're willing to put aside everything that you're thinking about, and that, just to give space to someone else's thinking, to see if it works with who you are and if it resonates with your characteristics, your ethics, your morals, or whatever. But I think that at some point in time, to some degree, you have to be able to balance the two, because you don't want every and anyone just come and put an idea in your head, and you're so open-minded that your brain fall out and anybody could put every and anything in your head. So the next thing is that close-mindedness calls for like having less capability of being humble. Open-mindedness calls for great depths of humility, because to be humble enough to be wrong is to say that you are ready to be changed, and you are ready, and it calls for some kind of great depth of character, that you could hold space or hold some kind of value of other people's opinions, but you have to be humble enough so that your ego doesn't get in the way to indicate in some weird fashion that other people's opinions are not important. So yeah, I definitely agree with him on that regard. I don't know. Tell me what you think and leave a comment below on that. That one's an interesting one. Okay, so just to close off, I just want to identify some other things he talked about. He was kind of laying out how to, what he calls, to be radically open-minded. It's part of a theme that he has written in his book, that for real true growth, for like a solid principle of growth that people should have, is to be radical in things that provide us with the greatest level of value. And radical open-mindedness calls for several things. The first one is regularly use pain as a kind of guide, or as a reflection for you to better understand yourself and understand the world. To me, it reminds me of that statement. I think it was Frank Underwood in the show, what do you call this thing again, by House of Cards, where he was saying there are two types of pain. Pain that teaches you, and the other kind of pain is just suffering. So, choose your pain. Second thing he mentioned in the book is to make being open-minded a habit. That I think to the point where anytime something is presented to you, you're just ready to go and just extract valuable information, but you have to be open to receive it in the first place. When that becomes second nature to you, you are ready to learn every and anything about the world, and you're just ready to go. You just go on. All right, so the third thing that really jumped out to me was knowing your blind spots. If you could easily identify where your biases are, or where you have a kind of resistance to seeing things from a particular perspective, you just might be able to kind of shift your focus a little bit, identify if there are things in your past, any insecurities, any past traumas that you might have that limit your capacity to see beyond the kind of surface level of an opposing point of view, so to speak. So I think he's really on point with that, especially where, we, like in the world of political viewpoints, and people are not able to see themselves or understand why people will agree to something. It's because there's something about where that new source of information is coming from has hurt you or hindered you in some way in the past, and you just kind of put up that kind of blockade from seeing valuable information that really is there. And the final thing that I wanted to bring is that you should be looking to get evidence and not be focusing on just your personal experience. Not saying that it's not valid, but anytime you have to bring some kind of reflection on what has been challenging you, aim to really just find facts, find as much empirical evidence to justify your position, and if it is that it is irrefutable at that point, then you're on the right path. If not, you just have more opportunities to grow with common sense and grow with proper knowledge, because subjective opinions tend to not be as valuable as people think in the grand scheme of things. So this brings me to the end of today's video, and I thank you for watching. So please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, put it on your social media. And speaking of social media, you could find me on Instagram. I will place the link here below, which I didn't do in the last video. And yeah, so y'all could check that out. And also, yeah, I hope you have a good day. I just remembered to wish you that.